The Lakers have won the first ever NBA in-season tournament, but what do they need to change? Overall, this tournament has been one of my favorite things the NBA has done in a long time. Like, the play-in tournament is really cool, and I feel like it was very good for the playoffs, but it wasn't something that was needed, right? The playoffs weren't boring. You didn't need to switch it up so much. But with this tournament, they did something different, and that was they actually fixed a huge problem, that being that the start of the regular season is really boring, which I'm sure if you were able to look at like NBA ratings and numbers and all that bullshit, you would be able to see that it is generally known to be boring. But just because this tournament was amazing and the reception was so good, it doesn't mean that everything is just perfect and we should keep it the way it is for the rest of time. And thankfully, Adam Silver understands that. Before the final game yesterday, I watched Adam Silver's press conference to the media, and he seemed to really understand that there were tweaks that they were going to have to make with this tournament, and he knew that going into it. But my favorite thing that he points out is that he will be going to the players to talk about the problems and what they want to see be changed, which is not only so special that there's a commissioner for the NBA like Adam Silver who's willing to go and see what the players want over what maybe could get them more numbers or more money, whatever. He wants to make sure that the players love the tournament and that they will continue to put everything they have into these games, which will then result to the money and the people watching like before. So it's just really cool. Adam Silver, huge props to him for what he has done so far, just overall for what he's done, honestly, for this entire league. But the players seem to actually have a huge problem with this in-season tournament, and that being the point differential. Now, I understand that it could be considered disrespectful if you're still scoring on your opponent when they're down by like 50 fucking points, but to be honest, I don't really care. I feel like myself and many other people think that if you feel like you're being disrespected by people still scoring on you and still playing the game of basketball with a couple minutes left in the fourth quarter, maybe you should play some fucking defense. With it mostly being bench players who are out on the floor at these moments of the game, I feel like you wouldn't just want to sit back and just be like, oh man, why are they playing basketball against us? Oh, this is so disrespectful. Play the fucking game. You're a bench player. You should be playing the game. And even if they do have their starters out, I don't know. It just frustrates me that we're not able to actually play the entire game. We're not able to watch them play all 48 minutes of the game because players just complain about wanting to sit back and just dribble the ball for the rest of the game. Like, it's just so annoying. It's so annoying. Now, I will say that there are weird moments where it's like the Celtics fouling Andre Drummond when they're up by like 30 fucking points. That's weird. I feel like maybe adding some sort of hack-a-shack foul for the play-in tournament could help that. I don't know. I'm gonna let Adam Silver figure that out. Point is, I actually do really like the point differential system. With the final game most likely being two teams that have been undefeated the entire time, I feel like having point differential as a factor is so huge. And I love watching the games knowing that, right? Tracking all these games, seeing how many points this team have to score to get over this team. I love that shit. That is so much fun. Like when the Kings versus Warriors played in the elimination game for the play-in tournament, where it was the decider on who goes to the quarterfinals or not. I was sitting there watching that game, and the Kings were down by 5 points, 6 points, and I was okay. I was on the top of the fucking moon because guess what? They were still going to make it to the play-in tournament. As long as the Kings didn't lose by 12 or more points, I think it was 12, maybe 11, I was fine. I was perfectly okay. Okay, Warriors win. Woo, go. But we're going to the quarterfinals, and that's what I cared about. That's why I feel like point differential is a lot of fun when it comes into those moments. But the one idea that the NBA had for the in-season tournament that I just do not stand for at all, the idea to play in Las Vegas. I've stated plenty of times on my channel about how I do not like Las Vegas being associated with the NBA at all. I feel like they don't really have any true fans, and a majority of the people there are just there for their parlay. And I think that cities like Seattle, Kansas City, St. Louis would have a way bigger NBA, like, fans would want to be there to watch the game, right? I feel like it'd be less about the teams playing and more about the fact that there is NBA basketball happening in the city. But that's not what I'm trying to get at with this. My point is, when you have a neutral site for these big games, it's basically going to be a home game for the bigger market and a away game for the smaller market. And in Vegas, where no one really gives a shit about basketball, everyone's going to be a Lakers fan. That is like the most obvious shit in the world. You have Lakers fans, some Chicago Bulls fans because they're the Chicago Bulls, Warriors fans, you know, obviously the huge big markets that are just kind of like the basic teams. So when we have an amazing game, arguably the best game of the entire tournament between the Bucks and Pacers, no one's even fucking cheering. I swear to God, there was 10 people in that arena. And it's just kind of sad to see that one of the best performances wasn't as hyped up as it could be. Like, I'm not going to say the game was ruined because there were no fans cheering, but it could have been way crazier having that Tyrese 3 dagger and the crowd fucking pop like crazy. If that game was in Indiana, the clips from that game would be sensational. Being able to see, you know, the Indiana crowd, and I think even also if the finals of the in-season tournament was in LA, the LA crowd would be way crazier than the Vegas crowd, even considering the Vegas crowd was basically all just Lakers fans. And I understand that this is me kind of nitpicking on what I think is good and bad for the league TV. I just feel like when watching through the TV, I like feeling like it's a crazy atmosphere there, and Vegas just didn't really give me that. I will say though, NBA, if you want to invite me to next year's in-season tournament game, feel free. I would love to go to Vegas if you would invite me. Appreciate it. But the last problem I have with the tournament is actually the celebration itself. And this is me getting really deep into this and really picking out things that I don't like, because this really did kind of have a problem with me. For the celebration, I'm not going to say that I think the players should just go back to the locker room and go fly home and game over, done, because there should still be a celebration. There should be a trophy, awards being handed out, because it is such a big tournament. Not as big as the NBA Finals, but it's a big tournament, and you want to feel like the players have done something. You want them to stand up on a stage and feel like they accomplished something by playing so hard in these games. But there were just some things that I felt like were really awkward and corny. Like, for example, the hats that they handed out. I know it sounds like I'm being a fucking bitch over some hats. I understand, but that's kind of like NBA Finals things. You know what I mean? Giving them the hats, giving them the shirts, like that's kind of for the NBA Finals. But what they did really good at was the actual celebration of the medals itself, because for the in-season tournament, they give out medals instead of rings. Having them all lined up in the Boys and Girls Club there to hand out the medals was really cool. Seeing LeBron James and AD signed shirts and stuff was really wholesome, to be honest. But when the cameras go back to the locker room, it is rough. Like LeBron with the champagne, I mean, this is just forcing it, man. The Lakers have also been considering hanging up a banner for the in-season tournament win. I don't know if that'll be confirmed by the time this video comes out. I would understand that, considering it is the first ever NBA in-season tournament. Like, that is a pretty cool accomplishment to have and something cool to put up in the arena. But I feel like if teams are to put up a banner for the rest of time for the in-season tournament, it should be very similar to how they do the division championships, which is basically just a banner saying we won the division and then a bunch of years under when they won the division. I don't think it would be good to have a bunch of different banners just saying, oh, we won the in-season tournament, we won this. I don't know, it just sounds like a lot. But those are my very, very, very picky opinions on the in-season tournament. And I know what you're thinking, what about the courts? To be honest, I don't really think the courts are a big problem besides like the Chicago Bulls and the Lakers. I think that these really heavy solid color ones should just be dimmed down a little bit. It's a little intense, but majority of them are fine. So with that being said, I'd love to hear your guys' takes down below. Let it be as picky as you want it to be or as broad as you want. Whatever it is, I respond to everyone, I read everyone. And while you're down there, hit the like and subscribe button as well. I'll see you guys all in the next video. Later.